Hi, and welcome to the Skincarma Pod. I'm Carmine, the creator and voice of the Skincarma blog. With more than 25 years in beauty as a brand builder, copywriter, and skincare junkie, I'm putting my product wisdom and expertise to work demystifying skincare. On today's episode of the Skincarma Pod, my guest sits at the intersection of medicine, aesthetics, and biotech innovation. Alisa Lask is the CEO of Rion Aesthetics, a regenerative aesthetics company pioneering platelet-derived exosome technology and the force behind plated skin science, one of the first medical-grade skincare brands born directly out of regenerative medicine research. With a career spanning leadership roles at Galderma, Allergan, and Eli Lilly, Alisa brings rare and refreshing credibility to the conversation around what it actually takes to translate complex medical science into safe, effective, and responsible consumer innovation. Today, I want to unpack her journey through pharma and aesthetics, the science behind platelet-derived exosomes, why not all exosomes are created equal, and how healing rather than hype may be the future of skin longevity. Let's do this. Let's talk with Alisa. Alisa, hi.
Hi.
Welcome to the Skincarma Pod. I'm really excited to have you on.
Thanks for letting me join.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm super excited about your product.
I love it. I got one here too.
Yeah, this is amazing. I was so excited I finally got my hands on it. I've had FOMO. I've had plated FOMO. That should be a thing. Hashtag plated FOMO.
It is. It is a thing. It is for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. All right, so let's just jump right into it. I wanna start foundationally, like where you grew up, what you studied, and I guess the path that led you to your career in pharma and regenerative aesthetics.
Yeah. So I'm a Midwest girl. I grew up in St.
Hmm.
Louis, and in a million years, I don't know if I would have guessed I would have been in beauty. I was the girl that was out with all the animals, playing with horses and dogs, and I thought I'd be a veterinarian, for sure.
Ah.
And I went to school at University of Miami in Ohio, and then I got my MBA at University of Michigan. Go Blue! Even though we did lose to Ohio State, so it wasn't a good year. And our coach, a small scandal, but we'll rebuild. And then I worked in grocery for a little bit at Aldi, and then I moved to pharmaceuticals. So I've had a career in all these very noble causes, from women's health to schizophrenia to I worked in like arthritis, so orthopedics, so knee implants, hip implants, and then I landed at Allergan and met Botox and Juvederm.
Oh, wow. That's it, right?
Yeah, yeah, and then
That's it.
go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
Oh,
No,
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 and
no.
then from there, I was blessed to move to Galderma and lead the brands of, Restylane, Sculptra, Dysport, and so I've really been in aesthetics now for over 10 years, and I just have fallen in love with this idea of good science, for beauty.
Yeah, that's what I love too, and I think that's exactly what is so fascinating and kind of enticing to me about what you're doing with plated. Of course, the first thing I did when I got my hands on the product was to look at the product inkies, and I'm like, that's how you tell the difference between a really, really good, solid, advanced clinical skincare product and the rest of the stuff. And the formulas, the products are not cheap by any means, but when you pay for a skincare product, you want to at least feel like you're getting your money's worth. And so when you look at a product like this, and I think there are 12 ingredients in the plated intense, and
Yes.
then you look at, like, for all the luxury skincare fans out there, I want you to turn around your box of La Mer and see 80 ingredients on there. And if you think you're getting what you pay for because you paid for 80 ingredients, that's really not how it works.
Yeah, it's
Um,
unheard of to have this 12 to 14 ingredients in skincare, and
yeah.
that's the beauty of biologics meet beauty, right? We're
Yes.
using, like, the
Yes.
the innate ability of the body to renew the skin, which is your skin is your largest organ, so, like, of course, we wanna try to leverage that, and it's had science has finally caught up. Everyone's wanted regenerative skincare for a long time, and I think
Yeah.
science has finally caught up.
We're finally here.
We're here.
So let's talk about that kind of your experience in pharmaceuticals and aesthetics. And how did that experience shape your instincts about innovation and real innovation, which is what we're really getting at here?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think as I worked across, the variety of these businesses, what I realized is the value of innovation, right? Like people will pay and they want the next best thing. And in skincare, it's been 20 years and we've only really had incremental innovation.
Yeah.
And, it's been one small thing. We're still using chemicals or, plant derived ingredients, but we really haven't been able to like truly leverage as the main ingredient, not 50 other things behind it, you
Mm.
know, human derived ingredients. And you might have a bit of a visceral reaction, but it's actually that's the what we're all looking for. And so I think it's really my career in medicine in sort of those other therapeutic diseases really drove me towards good science. So I've been raised in proof, not just promise. And beauty has been just all over promise, and there hasn't been a
Yeah.
lot of good science and innovative ingredients. So when I saw the two of those intersect, I was so excited.
Yeah. That's so interesting because, I worked in-house at L'Oreal for almost 8 years, I guess. And you see and even beyond that, even outside L'Oreal and some of the brands that I've worked on, you're in touch with the scientists and they express all this magic and all this incredible innovation to you, and then it gets filtered down through regulatory and marketing and it gets watered down and then it's just hocus pocus, and then I'm like stuck having to spin a story when there was actually legitimate science to begin with that I can't even talk about.
Yep. That's the complexity of having science in cosmetics and the ability what you can actually make claims. And I think this is where sometimes beauty gets a bad name because people start making these outlandish claims too, right? That it's not even, there's no science behind any of these claims. And so
Yeah.
that's why our company, we've really based the business on making sure that we deliver science behind this. And that's why we went with physician dispensed. We really wanted to go through
Hmm.
providers. We wanted them to believe in the science because Plated just got the number one dermatologic recommended exosome skincare. So dermatologists, that is the number one exosome skincare that they're recommending is plated. And that's a huge threshold, right?
Oh
Dermatologists,
yeah.
they study the skin. That's what they do every day.
Yeah, yeah.
For them to get excited about science, especially in something that's so new where there's been a lot of charlatans and everyone's kind of jumping on this exosome word, for them to really
Hmm.
believe in the science that much that they endorse plated, we're just so grateful for that.
There's not only been a lot of charlatans, but there's new charlatans every day.
Yeah.
And I think I shared when we first met that my first experience with plated was through a dermatologist, a friend of mine, Dr. Jen Haley out in Arizona, and she's been using exosomes on compromised skin since 2016.
Wow.
And I think we were on it was one of the podcasts we were recording together, and I think I asked her what her favorite products were, and she held this up and I was like, "Wait, what is that? I've never even heard of it. This is so not fair. You have access to stuff that I don't have access to." And of course now I have access to it. But it was a dermatologist who introduced me to plated and she was so passionate about it.
And we've really spent a lot of time at Plated to make sure that we're doing good clinical studies. A lot of times and you work with L'Oreal, you do 9 or 10 patients.
Yeah.
We don't really see that deep science behind some of these things. And so we've been doing multiple studies. We have over 10 peer-reviewed publications for Plated. And that's what's really allowed us to get the dermatologists, the plastic surgeons, these aesthetic providers that are really deep into the science to endorse the brand.
Yeah. Let's before we jump too far ahead and into the product, I want to go back to kind of the origins of Rion Aesthetics. As I understand it, the company has roots in the Mayo Clinic's Van Cleve Cardiac Regenerative Medicine program. Um, it's an origin story that's not like anything else on the market, and that's how you get a product that's unlike anything else on the market. So take us back to the genesis of Rion Aesthetics, and then of course Plated.
Yeah, so our parent company is called Rion, and
Mm-hmm.
the two founders are cardiologists, so interventional
Mm.
cardiologists. One is extremely famous in regenerative medicine, the other focuses on transplant, and they are stem cell guys from the get-go. And they were spending the last 15, 20 years trying to figure out how they got stem cells to help regenerate cardiac patients, so heart attack patients. And they made this discovery along the way of this idea of these regenerative exosomes from platelets. And it was interesting. They were in the lab, and a lot of times you have to wear gloves in the lab, and your hands get irritated and angry with all the latex gloves. And they're putting this platelet extract, these platelet-derived exosomes, on their hands, and they're realizing the skin was looking so much better.
Mm.
And while they were laser focused on this like cardiology outcome, they sort of made this discovery and then started working on formulations for skincare. And that's kind of where I came in. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like incredible science, 15 years, $150 million in research. And, something that was originally, you know, developed for cardiac patients that could be used in skincare. And I think the problem in the past has been there's been a lot of discoveries, but it's hard to democratize it, right? It's unaffordable.
Yeah.
You can't put it in
Yeah.
a cosmetic, like a lot of great things, but they had found a way through platelets to be able to get this at a cost that you and I could afford when we go into our providers.
Yeah. I mean, and that really is what makes it so distinct. You're right, and the fact that you were able to bring that to market is really phenomenal. I was looking at the brand messaging, the plated brand messaging, and I saw something that said supporting the body's own regenerative intelligence. I love that. I mean, I'm a copywriter. I ate that up. Is that really the nugget that makes plated so distinct?
I think it's a wonderful question. And we probably should start back to okay, what are exosomes? Because there's a lot of confusion. And I
Yeah,
think
let's. Yeah.
everyone's like slapping the word exosome and everything. And you know what? Right now, I have exosomes on my hands probably. But what's really hard is getting these exosomes, into a formulation. So exosomes, if you just want to think in the body, they're like your body's text messaging system. So
Mm.
sending signals from cell to cell in your body, really doing all the communication. Now you take exosomes, there's all kinds of exosomes, some that signal renewal, some that signal inflammation, right? So you want the right one. And so that's why we use platelets, because if you think about it, platelet exosomes, the first thing when you slice your hand, the first responder is platelets, right? So they have this unique ability to deliver these renewing exosomes for the skin. And so platelet derived exosomes are like the master key to your cells around improving your skin health.
And right there is the distinction between platelet-derived exosomes, which you're using in the plated formulas, and these plant-derived exosomes, right? Like, I wish everybody could see your expression. It's like all of a sudden, like, what? And I've always what does a plant have anything to do with, skin repair or healing?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the thing I like to mention on that is just, you know, plant cells can't, if we think about the text messaging, text message
Yeah.
human cells, right? We're not a
Yeah.
plant. Can you get
Yeah.
nutrition from plant extracts? I don't necessarily think they're exosomes, they're more like extracts. Sure, it's just like eating a carrot. But if you want the next elevated level, right? This whole idea of regenerative skincare, that's human platelet derived exosomes, not plant exosomes.
Yeah, and can we talk? I was super fascinated, doing my deep dive into the website. Can we talk about where these human derived platelets are coming from?
Absolutely. I think it's a wonderful question. And that's why we named the company Plated. I think a
Mm,
lot of brands hide in size 6 font behind their sources. And when you
yeah.
start getting into regenerative skincare, right, you need to understand these sources. Some of these are just like two consenting adults that then they manipulate in the lab again and again and again. And then you get phenotypic deviation and all kinds of other problems. We're getting ours from FDA compliant bank. So this is the same place that you would get transfusion grade material. We don't
Mm.
take anything out of the system because we're purchasing them from these banks at the end of their life cycle. So they are no longer eligible to be used in humans. They would have to pay to dispose of these. And instead, we are purchasing them and giving them money and then shipping them back to Rochester, Minnesota, where our manufacturing is, and utilizing them. And so this is what's so great, right? We're taking something that would have been considered waste and we're using for something wonderful, which is, plated and in our skincare.
And so your labs are extracting the exosomes from from the platelets? Is there anything and it appears in the inky as human platelet extract? Is there anything else in that extract in
Yeah, so
addition to exosomes?
yes, that's a good question again. So the exosomes, we actually condition the platelets to produce these renewing exosomes.
Mm,
And in the process, we do get some other cell slurry and things like that. That's actually quite good for your skin. So if you think about it, this is sort of our earliest stage on the manufacturing side. And that's why it's called human platelet extract. That's the inky name that the organization gave us that manages all of those ingredient names. And again, we're super proud. We want to stand behind human derived. We want to stand behind this like the power of platelets and platelet exosomes, not just any sort of exosome.
yeah. All right. So let's talk about the product. You have, I mean, three main products, right? There's the two facial skincare products. There's the Intense, which I got my hands on, and then there's the Daily Serum. And I understand those are kind of to be used in a broader skincare routine where you would use Intense for, is it 12 weeks, and then change to a maintenance period of the Daily Serum? Is that correct?
So I think it really depends on what you've done, right? So I have
Ah,
Irish skin. I love horses. I'm in the sun all the time. I wasn't great about my sun care when I was younger. Love to be in the sun without sun care. And so for me, I just use Intense. Intense is our 100% hero SKU. But if
mm-hmm.
you have younger, you've been more vigilant in taking care of your skin, daily is a great option as well. It's a little bit thicker. So like for my mom, she's in a very dry climate. I'm in Florida. She loves more hydration, thicker sort of formula. So daily's great for her. So we do see people that started Intense and step down. The concentration is slightly less in the daily. So again, if you aren't, as had as much kind of skin exposure and things that you're worried about, daily's great for you. If you're a little more in my realm, the Intense is the perfect option. But I think skincare is so specific. You need to work with your provider to really figure out what the best routine is for you. In our clinical trials, we did twice a day. But I think over time, you can use it once a day. You just really need to, kind of balance what your needs are with sort of the usage.
Yeah, I've been using it once a day at night, and I can't believe I just dispensed that on the back of my hand and wasted a drop. I was
I
thinking
love
that as I was going. I was
Well,
like,
the
"Oh
back of
God,
your
am I
hands
really?"
show age. So the neck and the back of your hands show age. So you're doing a good
It's
job applying
true.
to the back of your hands.
It's true. It wasn't entirely wasted on the back of my hand.
But this is a good point and a good hack for
Yeah.
skincare. So your skin loves consistency. So one-time use of exosomes is while it's going to do something, it's that consistency, daily consistency. Because as we go along, we have all these stressors in the world, the environment, the sun, we're aging. And so that consistency of this application is really, really important.
Yeah. And I have to say, I have to point this out because I was kind of blown away. The BNAs on the product pages are insane. Like just sliding through there was one woman's dark spots, just like it was like, whoa. If I were her, I would be like the happiest person on earth. Like the product really solved her dark spots. I mean, she's not completely free of dark spots. She had a lot of damage to begin with, but it was really incredible. And usually it's like I'm like, squinting to try to see the difference between the two, and this was legitimate. Legitimate.
Yeah, and these are all clinical study photos that we have on our website. These were taken in providers' offices, not some iPad version that we, you know,
Right.
photoshopped or whatever. And I have to be honest, like I was walking through the airport in a plated shirt the other day, so with my merch, and someone stopped me and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I love this product! Like the results are incredible," and that just is so warming for my heart because we're behind something that's really working. That goes back to my, proof versus just promise.
Yeah. And then so the third product is the hair product. I mean, I'm not expecting to grow hair from it, but I do use it on my scalp every evening. So tell me
Yeah.
about this and like why hair? It's so interesting to me that there's two facial products and then a hair treatment, a scalp treatment.
Yeah. So we obviously started in the skincare realm and then we kept getting questions like, well, what about hair? Especially the guys, but even women, lots of postpartum, postmenopausal women. And so we did a clinical study at a very, Dr. Rod Warwick in Dallas, Texas, double-blind, placebo-controlled study. This is a pharmaceutical-grade study, and we saw
Hmm.
statistical significance in the study across several areas as it relates to hair. Now, if you're shiny and your scalp is shiny, probably too late, right? This is going to be perfect for someone that's, frustrated. They're just starting to see some problems. But once you kind of are completely shiny, especially for the guys, you're probably in the hair transplant category. But wonderful results, for the men and women that are sort of earlier stage.
Can I use it on my neck?
You can use the Intense on your neck for sure.
What about the hair one?
you know,
Because I love that you pointed out my head is shiny. You're not going to get to see my head today on the podcast. But yeah, we're long past.
A lot of the guys like Intense after shaving because it
Hmm,
helps them if they have a beard. It also, they like it kind of, you're probably doing some small microabrasions to your skin as you're shaving. So we hear that
for
a lot from
sure.
guys. And then, of course, you can use one pump for your face and one pump for your neck. The neck's super important as well. But we're actually doing a study on eyebrows. So we're studying the hair product
Oh,
now.
wow.
Because again, people are like, "What about my eyebrows? I like really want eyebrows." So we don't put the plated name on anything until we are absolutely sure the clinical results support that. So stay tuned. We'll talk in Q1, and I'll let you know if we're going to be in the eyebrow market again.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to use it on my bearded area after I shave. That's such a great idea. Cool, cool, cool tip. Thank you. Um, all right. So Plated's distributed through trusted aesthetic and medical providers, not retail environments. Is that the case? And is that the long-term strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first of all, exosomes, human derived ingredients, these are complicated things and they're not ready for the likes of Sephora or Amazon.
Mm,
And we really, and like I said before, there was a lot of shenanigans going on in the industry. And we really felt like in order to get this, I mean, our goal is that platelet derived exosomes are a gold standard. They become like what we feel about vitamin C and retinoids. And in order to do that, we had to get the backing of the providers. And so we have been exclusively there. I can't look out 5 to 10 years, but I would say in the very future that I can see in front of me, we will not be changing that strategy. It's just not ready for the Sephora environment. And our customers are people that are very well educated. They really care about the science in their skincare. And that's probably not the person that's in Ulta or Sephora.
yeah, I was going to ask you about the exosome competitors. There's a lot of exosome products coming onto market in the market over the past year. Um, and a lot of that, marketing messaging is kind of muddying the concept of exosomes in the marketplace. Do you see that as problematic, or do you see it as an opportunity for distinction?
Well, Plated created this category, and we are by far the leader. So in some ways, it's a compliment, right? Someone sees
Mm,
we created something that's incredible, and they're trying to get a piece of it. I think they have a long way to go to come back and show us they actually, one, have exosomes in their product. They're actually human exosomes. They're actually the ones that renew. I mean, there's a lot of science. We benefit because Rion is doing all these noble FDA studies with platelet-derived exosomes, and so we're benefiting from all that science, and we apply it all the quality, all the testing to our learning as we bring out this cosmetic. So I think that it's great to see a lot of interest. I think that shows you this is going to be a gold standard in skincare. But these guys have a long way to go to catch up on the science,
if they ever do.
if they ever do right.
So regenerative aesthetics feels like a paradigm shift rather than a trend. Looking ahead, how do you see platelet-derived technologies like you're bringing forward with plated shaping the future of skin health?
I really see platelet-derived exosomes being a gold standard. I
Mm,
think the science is supporting the incredible things that it's doing. And just that we're probably going to be able to simplify our skincare routines. Like right now, there's just so many other things. And as we learn more as we go, I think it's going to be something that's the first thing you want to put on. And while I mentioned that, I should say a small hack when you're using human derived ingredients, there are certain things that these ingredients don't like. So it's really, really important if you're using plated that you put it on first on clean skin, because things like lotions and oils. I mean, I was using these Neutrogena makeup wipes, which I love. They're fabulous, but they have oil in them. And I wasn't
yeah.
rinsing my face off. So I was probably destroying some of these exosomes. So just really important clean. And you've got to wait 5 minutes because they need the time to penetrate the skin before you're adding on makeup and sunscreen and things like that.
Yeah, you had given me that tip when we first spoke, and so now I'm like, I like. I know this is going to sound kind of crazy, but it makes sense. Like my evening skincare routine takes an hour, and it's not that I am doing all of these products. It's that I do a product like I'll wash my face, I'll let it dry, I'll put the plated on, then I'll go back to watching TV,
Yeah.
for like 15 or 20 minutes. And then I get up and then, I'll continue on. And then I sit back down after a couple serums and then I seal it all in with moisturizer. So I completely get that. And it's such a great point, and I'm glad you reinforced it.
Yeah, it's really important.
Yeah. All right. So one more question that has nothing to do with any of this. Before we move on to a lightning round, I know you're actively involved in dog rescue, which I really love. I have my cat who's asleep over there in the sun, and I picked him up from the shelter, and he's my third cat from a shelter. I really love that you're so dedicated to that, and I've always said I should go volunteer at the shelter, but I don't. So I would love for you to share about that.
Yeah, so there's a rescue in Florida near where I live in Palm Beach County called Big Dog Ranch Rescue. They do small dogs too. It's the
Mm,
largest non-kill shelter, cage-free in the country. And they're actually opening shelters in many other areas. And it's just an amazing environment. And I love, helping them. Actually, Plated is doing some sponsorship on some things this year as well. And it's just great. These dogs that, if you ask me about dogs, the unconditional love is amazing. And so it's really a great thing for me to be able to go and provide any help for them.
I love that. All right, so let's move on to a lightning round. Um, just you can give quick answers, and most of the questions are fun and non-skincare related. Something you believed early in your career that you no longer believe.
Hmm. I have to come back to that one. What did I believe early in my career that I don't believe anymore? I don't know. I can't think of anything on this one. Let me come back to that one.
Deal. One misconception about exosomes you'd love to correct once and for all.
Not all exosomes are created equal.
Yes. I think that needs to be the episode title, to be honest.
Yeah, it's like,
Um, yeah, that's a good one, right? Your guilty pleasure TV.
ooh, I love any kind of murder mystery. Of course, then I can't go to
Oh my,
sleep.
oh my God. I just watched something that was a mass murder mystery, I guess. It's a docudrama on Netflix. I think it's called Fugue State, and I was so obsessed with it. I love documentaries, and especially documentaries about murderers. I don't know what that says about me, but
I like Ozark and things like that. So
yeah,
dark,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
normal, but there's plenty of murders in those too, I guess.
Yeah, there are a lot of murders in Ozark. Ozark was amazing, wasn't it?
No,
Oh
and I'm
my
from Missouri,
God.
so
Yeah, that's true. Wow. The coolest place you've been in the world.
Africa for my safaris.
Wow, that's amazing. And my answer would be South Africa. Going
Yeah.
to Cape Town was it. Like, oh my God, that was magical. My magical 6 days in Cape Town.
The Masai Mara is just amazing watching the animals. It's a trip. I've been twice. It's a trip. It's by far the most epic trip I've been on.
Elephants, did you see lions?
Of course. Yeah. Rhino.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Giraffe?
Yes. And baby giraffes.
Oh, cool. That's so cool. One thing dogs can teach us about how to live fuller and more joyful lives.
Unconditional love. No matter what
Oh,
happens, you always come home and they're happy. They don't have any grudges and
yeah.
they love you every single day the same amount.
Cats are the same, It's like they're going about their day, and no matter how horrible your day is, or you've gotten horrible news, they're like oblivious to it, and it's just they center you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Your personal definition of healthy skin.
I think that goes back to consistency.
Mm,
I think it's really important to have consistency to have healthy skin.
yeah. A daily ritual non skincare that you believe supports your health the most.
I take some supplements for sure. And
Hmm.
I'm really trying hard after my executive physical to drink a lot more water because water is very, very important. And I was not very good at drinking a lot of water. So I'm announcing my personal 2026 commitment.
You know what the key is? And I wasn't so great at drinking water, and I'm a chronic migraineur, and dehydration is like a thing. Like that's a quick migraine trigger, and it's so easy to correct. I have bottles of water everywhere, and people who come to my apartment are like, "What's with you and these bottles of water?" Like I have a bottle of water on either side of the bed. I have bottles of water on either end of the couch and in the middle of the couch, like on the end, like on the top. Of course, one here next to the computer and one in each of my bags.
Okay, I have a little like room to grow then. You're clearly way ahead of me. So my other
Yeah,
thing
you have to have it within reach. That's what it is. If you have it within reach, you're going to drink it. If you have to get up and get, it's like you're not even thinking about that.
I think the other thing too is just sleep and the importance of sleep.
Mm,
I think that's underrated. And I guess if we go back to your question earlier about, when I was younger, I used to think I didn't need sleep.
mm,
I thought, oh, I can just survive on 4 hours of sleep or 3 hours of sleep. And it's probably that was the worst thing for my health.
yeah,
Staying up
yeah.
late, getting up early, we do so much better with more sleep and we have so much, it's just so important to have perspective, like to step away from something and then step back.
Yeah, and then to your point about consistency, I know this is going to make me sound like I'm super anal, but I go to bed and wake up every single day of the week. It doesn't matter at the same time.
That's great.
Yeah,
It's actually really good for you. I am not
yeah, it really is. And then I don't need an alarm. And, I always needed an alarm. I don't need an alarm anymore because my body's just used to waking up at the same time.
my dogs have an internal alarm. I think they know what time it is and they wake me up actually.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The cat will if I don't know, like it doesn't really happen anymore because I'm automatically up by 5 o'clock and he's like, ready to go. Sometimes he's waiting at the end of the bed for me. Other times I have to call him over and he's like, wait, you're up already? When you get up before your cat, that's like kind of crazy.
That is
All
kind
right. Yeah. One last question, and then I'll let you go on with your day. Finish this sentence. I feel most like myself when.
I'm riding my horses are in the barn.
Aw, amazing. That's amazing. Alyssa, thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate all you're doing for industry and education. And education is probably the most important thing. And the more we have, the better we all are and what decisions we make.
Yeah, and I'm going to drop links to the products to the Plated website in the show notes for people who are interested. Check that out. Um, thank you, Alyssa. This is incredible. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you.
All right. Bye. Thanks.
Ciao.
Bye.
All right. Thank you for listening to the Skin Karma Pod. Find more insights, real talk, and reviews of my favorite skincare products on the Skin Karma blog at skinkarma.com. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please rate and review this episode. It helps me to reach more listeners. Ciao.